Hello, this is Rachel too, and this is my final portfolio presentation. So I am 21 and I reside in Corsicana, Texas, and I specialize in commission work, whether it be traditional or digital. So I created Z2 Designs. So some pictures of my Photoshop work. Now I chose this one because I made this based off an animated character. And I really wanted to show my human faces because human faces and just human anatomy is very hard to learn. And that's one thing that I've been trying to improve on. So since I made this from an animated character, I wanted to use it because it shows how much I can create a human looking character. And I used this one as well. And this is based off a real person, so it is easier to make. And I used a reference on this one. But I really, really like this one because the eyes look very clear, focused, it's the first thing you look at when you see it. And I also really like the oil painting look it has in the background. I also really liked this one because this is a redraw of an original piece that I created about 2 years back. And I particularly like this one because it has a actual background that isn't just a plain color. I caught myself doing that a lot, so I decided to change it up a bit and add something to the background. I also really like this because of the hair and also the realisticness of this heart. And here is my pop art. I also really like this one because it has a nice pattern. The colors are very bright, and it does look like something that you'd see maybe Andy Warhol doing. Not saying I'm as good as him, but it looks like something that he could have possibly created. And this is my description of these. These works were all made in Photoshop. Photoshop is my favorite application to use to create my art. The first image is what I imagine the character Dabby from My Hero Academia would look like in real life. The second work is a redraw of a screen cap I took of Jimin from his music video Serendipity. The third piece is an original idea that I created a year ago. I had since changed and improved the first drawing into what you see below. The final work is a pop art that I created for an assignment. I took a photo of a Game Boy and then took it to Photoshop to make it look like pop art. Now here are my Illustrator works. Now all of these that I included in this, I particularly like because there are small details that create completeness in these pieces. So for this one, this was an idiom assignment that I had where we had to make an idiom and form it into an illustration. So the idiom was drinking like a fish. So I drew this up on a piece of paper and then took it to Illustrator to complete. But I really like this one because of just this single glass right here. I really like how I added, the highlights and the shadows and also just the drop of the drink, as well as the light reflection off of this. And just the gradient in his face and just the eye. I think adding that to the simplicity of this piece really just brings it together. And now the second one was where there was a list of words and we had to take 2 words and make an illustration from that. So I choose paint and planet. Now I really like this one as well because the paint that are the planets, they look 3D. I took a lot of time making the right shade of highlight and the right shade of shadow to make it look like it actually popped out. And I had a hard time making the smear, but I found something that made it look fairly nice. And I really like this piece in general. I think it's a cool idea. And this one is where we're taking our favorite food and turn it into a character. So again, with the simple look of it, but the small details of it give it a really good look. So I added this little shadow that goes from the plate to the table, and I added highlight and shadow to the chopsticks, as well as a tiny little shimmer of the little salmon on here. And then of course his little eyes, I think they're really cute. I really like the way they turned out. And this is the bio for that, or the description. These are all works from Illustrator. Illustrator is an interesting place when it comes to creating art. It is a difficult program to get used to, but the outcome is worth it. These are all assignments that I had from TS2C. The first work is a drawing of an idiom drinking like a fish. I sketched the fish man on a piece of paper before scanning it and creating the line work in Illustrator. For the second piece, we were given a list of words and we had to take 2 of the words from the list and create art with it. The 2 words I picked were paint and planets. So I sketched out my idea and scanned it in Illustrator. It took a while to figure out how to create a smear effect on the paintbrush on the earth, but once I found it, I really liked the way it looked. For the final work, we were instructed to make our favorite food into a character. My favorite food is sushi, so I thought of what I was going to do and immediately went to Illustrator. And these are my other artworks, or other pieces. So these first 2 are image edits. I really like this one because of how much my cat pops out. I changed the hue and the opacity, or not the opacity, the hue and saturation of the background, and it really brought her forward, especially with her yellowish hues. And I like the second image as well. I added a red radial gradient, and I added that, and it really just brought him out, especially the red in contrast with his greenish blue suit. Now these 2 were posters I had to make. So the first poster, I was supposed to make a poster that represented an event for adopting a pet. I really like this one because of the colors of it. I love this little like teal color, especially with the letters, but the light greenish blue I have on the back and the orange of this really makes it just stand out and look professional. And this one was a remake of a game that I had. So I played Red Dead Redemption and I really liked it, so I decided to create another poster for it. So I took the subject, which is Arthur Morgan, which is the main character, and the horse from one of their actual, posters, and I made a silhouette out of it, and then I changed the background to make it this nice reddish purple color. I really liked it. And my description for these is these are poster assignments that I had. For the first poster design, we were instructed to create a poster about a pet adoption day. The second poster was a redesign of a game called Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, these 2 are also assignments, and this one was to create a complete image using a photo that you had taken and a photo from the internet and mash them together to make it look like a full image. So I took a picture of me and my friends. We were at a convention, and I put us into a fair. And so how I made us look like we were actually there was I created the hue, or changed the hue of our skin to a more yellowish, so it looked like we were outside, and of course I added shadows. And for this was a stamp assignment where we created, or took photos of that we've taken and put them into stamps. So I didn't do much to these except I changed the hue of this one, cut them out. I played around with the sharpness of this photo as well as added a pattern. I did an oil paint effect, and then I changed the hue for him. Overall, I really like the way that these turned out. And then there's a resume and contract page, which links to my PDF, and this is my PDF that I created. It talks about my skills, experience, education. And then it also links to my Instagram page, which has more physical and traditional art. And then here is my PDF of my art. Hold on, let me find it. So I went really simple with this. This is the cover that has my logo as well as some of the pieces, but the opacity is down so you can see the background. And I just have short explanations of these assignments. So I made in Photoshop 2018 using my Wacom tablet. It took me 7 hours to complete. Made in Photoshop 2019 using my Wacom tablet. Took approximately 5 hours to complete. Made in Illustrator 2018 using physical drawing and then exporting it to Illustrator to complete. And these have all the same descriptions. Made in Photoshop 2019 using a photograph I took and then exported it to Photoshop to edit. Made in Photoshop 2019 using a photograph I took and then exporting it to Photoshop to edit. Same thing except Photoshop 2018. Made in Photoshop 2018 using a photograph I took and then exporting it to Photoshop to edit and turn into stamps. And then the final page, which is made in Photoshop 2018 by finding royalty-free images and making a poster focus around pet adoption. So this is my final portfolio presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed.